Offer Ren $100 today, or $150 in 1 year, and Ren takes the 100 immediately, barely thinking about it. Offer Ren $100 in 5 years, or $150 in 6 years, and Ren takes the 150 just as quickly, just as confidently. Look closely at what actually changed between those two decisions. Both involve exactly the same choice: wait 1 extra year for 50% more money. Ren picked a small amount when the wait started today, and picked a larger amount when the exact same wait started later. The math never changed. The 1-year gap never changed. The only thing that changed was whether right now was sitting inside the decision or safely 5 years away from it. This isn't Ren being inconsistent by accident. It's one of the most well-documented patterns in behavioral economics, and it explains an enormous amount about why saving money is so much easier to plan than to actually do. Economists call rational time preference exponential discounting, the idea that a rational decision maker should value a fixed future amount less the further away it is, but by a consistent, steady rate. So the same 1-year wait should always feel like the same 1-year wait, whether it starts today or 5 years from now. That's the model classical economics used for decades. It's also, it turns out, not how human brains actually work. In 1975, the economist George Ainsley proposed something different. Based on real observed behavior in both humans and animals, people don't discount the future steadily. They discount it hyperbolically, meaning the drop in value is dramatically steep for anything involving right now, and then flattens out sharply for everything further away. The gap between today and tomorrow feels enormous. The gap between year 5 and year 6, involving the exact same 24 hours, barely registers at all. Ainsley's research included studies on pigeons choosing between smaller, immediate food rewards and larger, delayed ones. And the same basic pattern showed up again and again, well beyond just human survey answers about hypothetical cash. The preference reversal wasn't a quirk of how people think about money specifically. It appeared to be a much more basic feature of how any brain, built to survive in an environment where the future was never guaranteed, learns to weigh now against later. That's part of what made the findings so hard to dismiss as some kind of financial illiteracy. It runs deeper than that. And it runs in creatures that have never once thought about a retirement account. This is why Ren's two answers, which look contradictory on paper, actually make complete sense once you understand the shape of the curve. There's nothing inconsistent about a brain that discounts steeply near the present and gently everywhere else. It's not two different value systems. It's one curve. And Ren answered honestly from wherever on that curve each question happened to land. Here's where this becomes expensive. And it's the exact mechanism behind one of the most common financial habits almost everyone recognizes in themselves. Every January, Ren makes a plan. Start investing seriously. Cut back on the takeout. Build the emergency fund properly this time. The plan gets made calmly, rationally, months before it needs to start March. Usually, felt far enough away to plan virtuously around. And future Ren, the version of Ren doing the planning in January, is remarkably disciplined, because January Ren is comparing March against April, a future versus future decision, sitting safely on the flat, gentle part of the curve where $50 extra restraint barely costs anything to imagine. It's worth noticing how genuinely sincere January Ren's plan actually is, because that sincerity is often mistaken for the problem being solved. January Ren isn't lying, or being naive, or failing to understand the importance of saving. Sitting on the flat part of the curve, the math is easy and the discipline feels almost effortless, because there's no live, immediate temptation actually competing against the plan yet. The sincerity is real. It's just being measured under conditions that won't exist anymore by the time the plan is supposed to start. Then March arrives. And March isn't a future month being compared to April anymore. March is now. And now sits on the steep part of the curve, where the pull of an immediate $100 overwhelms a future $150 every single time. Exactly the way it did in the very first example. The plan doesn't fail because Ren is undisciplined. It fails because the version of Ren who made the plan and the version of Ren who has to execute it are, psychologically, answering two different questions on two completely different parts of the same curve. This is the trap hiding inside almost every New Year's resolution about money. And it's also why the same resolution, made every January with total sincerity, so often gets quietly rescheduled to March, then June, then next January, without anyone ever consciously deciding to break the promise. Nobody breaks it on purpose. The version of them capable of keeping it only exists on the far side of the curve, in a later that keeps arriving as a now. There's an old name for the actual fix, older than behavioral economics itself. In Homer's Odyssey, Ulysses wanted to hear the siren song without being lured to his death by it. So he had his crew bind him to the ship's mast and ordered them, in advance, to ignore anything he said once the song started playing. He didn't trust future Ulysses, standing right at the steep part of the curve, to make the same decision that calm, planning ahead Ulysses had made safely on the flat part of it. So he removed future Ulysses' ability to choose at all. Economists still call this a Ulysses contracted decision made now, on the gentle part of the curve, specifically designed to bind and override whatever a future, present biased version of yourself will want once later finally becomes now. The genuinely clever part of Ulysses' solution, easy to miss in the retelling, is that he didn't try to make future Ulysses stronger or more disciplined. He assumed future Ulysses would want exactly the wrong thing, completely predictably, and built a mechanism that didn't depend on future Ulysses agreeing at all. That's a fundamentally different strategy than trying harder next time. It's designing around the failure in advance, rather than hoping it won't happen again. Ren eventually built one, almost by instinct, after enough failed marches to notice the pattern. Instead of planning to start investing in March, Ren set up an automatic transfer in January effective immediately, not scheduled for some future date that would eventually become another present moment to resist. The decision got made once, on the flat part of the curve, while it was still cheap and easy to be disciplined, and then executed without ever asking March Ren for permission again. That's the actual insight worth taking from this, more than the specific mechanics of any one transfer. The version of you making a financial plan for the future is not the same version of you who will have to execute it when the future arrives. That second version will be standing on the steep part of the curve, facing a real, immediate pull that the planning version never had to feel. Any plan that requires future you to make a fresh, willing, present tense decision is a plan built on the wrong part of the curve, and the fix isn't more willpower for that future moment. It's removing the moment's ability to be a decision at all. This reframes what willpower even means in the context of money, and it's a kinder reframe than the usual one. The common story is that people who fail to save are simply lacking discipline in the moment it matters. The curve tells a more specific story. The discipline was never missing. It was fully present. In January, on the flat part of the curve, where it's honestly not that hard to find. What's missing is a mechanism that carries that January discipline forward, intact, into March, without requiring it to survive contact with the steep part of the curve a second time. If this changed how you think about the promises you keep making to your future self, subscribe, because we'll keep telling these stories the psychology first, the money second, the same way we always have. Same honest stories, same simple truth. See you in the next one.